Let me ask you something personal. What hurts more, saying a wrong sentence in English or staying silent and realizing you missed your chance? Most people think English is painful, but they never talk about the deeper pain, the one that shows up quietly, years later, the pain of regret, the kind that whispers, you could have applied, you could have spoken, you could have been more. But you didn't, and now it's too late. This video isn't about grammar, it's about your life. It's about the invisible war happening inside millions of people. The war between what feels good now and what will feel right later. If you've ever watched others succeed and thought, that could have been me. If you've ever walked away from a conversation, heart heavy, thinking, why didn't I just try? Then this story is your story. Because today, you'll discover something no English teacher ever told you. The pain of English shrinks every time you try. The pain of regret only grows. And by the end of this video, you'll never look at English, or your future, the same way again. He thought English was the enemy. Every time he tried to speak, his tongue betrayed him. Awkward pauses, broken grammar, nervous silence. But the pain that stayed wasn't from mispronouncing a word, it was from saying nothing at all. Mistakes in English lasted seconds, but regret, that stayed like a shadow. He remembered one moment clearly, a job opportunity he wanted so badly. They spoke in English. He stayed silent. His mind knew the answer, but his fear muted his voice. The email later said, "We've chosen someone else." He didn't fail because he wasn't smart. He failed because he didn't speak. Sometimes silence screams louder than mistakes. He'd walk away from conversations thinking, I could have said something. But he never did. Not because he didn't have words, but because he didn't believe his words mattered. And that self-doubt was heavier than any grammar mistake. He would lie in bed at night replaying those moments like old, painful tapes. The words he should have said, the questions he could have asked, the connections he never made. He realized something quietly terrifying. He wasn't scared of English. He was scared of judgment, and that fear had cost him too much. One day, regret became unbearable. He heard himself say, I'm just not good at English. But something inside whispered back, or maybe you've just stopped trying. That thought hit hard. Regret wasn't coming from trying and failing. It was growing from not trying at all. And so, he tried something different. He stood in front of the mirror and whispered the one English sentence he was most afraid to say. Just once, then again, then louder. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. And in that moment, his future started fighting back. He wrote down a sentence that changed everything. My future matters more than what people think. That sentence became his shield. Every time fear returned, he repeated it. Not just to learn English, but to rebuild his self-worth, one word at a time. He knew now, the pain of staying the same was much heavier than the pain of speaking imperfectly. So he picked one English action he had avoided for months and did it, not to be fluent, not to be perfect, but to stop feeding the beast of regret, because the only thing worse than bad English is a silent life. But what if you keep choosing what feels easy now, instead of what feels right for your future? If you want regret, keep choosing comfort. Hit skip on the English video. Stay silent in the meeting. Scroll past opportunities. It feels better now, but it costs you later. Courage asks for a moment of discomfort. Regret asks for a lifetime of wondering what if. If you want to feel stuck forever, keep treating English like it's optional. Tell yourself, I'll learn later, while others move forward. You can delay action, but you can't delay time. One day, you'll realize you waited too long, and it won't feel optional anymore. It'll feel like loss. If you want to stay small, then please, avoid every chance to speak. Stay quiet in the group. Let someone else answer. Smile and nod. It's safe, right? But silence shrinks you. Every time you avoid speaking, your confidence gets a little smaller. And one day you'll believe that small is who you are. If you want to suffer more, not now but later, keep comparing yourself to fluent speakers. See their confidence and let it crush yours. Say, I'll never sound like that. Quit before you've even started. Forget that they were once beginners too. Forget that fluency is built, not born. Want a simple test? Compare yourself, and not to others, but to your last attempt. Did you say a sentence today you wouldn't dare say last week? That's growth. That's proof. Progress lives in tiny risks, not giant leaps. And every step forward kills a little piece of regret. So if you want regret, choose what's comfortable today. Watch your dreams decay slowly, silently. English isn't just a language, it's your passport to possibility. But only if you're willing to feel the heat of effort now, so you don't freeze in regret later. Try this. Start one micro conversation this week, just one. Ask a cashier, "How's your day?" Say "thank you" out loud. Comment on a video in English. Small courage builds massive change. And guess what? No one remembers your mistakes, but you'll remember your silence. Regret is quiet but sharp. It waits. It grows in corners. It shows up years later, at the worst moments, when you realize the life you could have had. So choose differently today. Choose the small discomfort that leads to big freedom. Because pain is coming either way. Choose the one that builds you. But what happens when someone finally chooses the pain of English and everything begins to change? He had the skills, the experience, the passion, but not the words. The job was his dream. The interview was in English, and he understood everything, except how to respond. His answers lived in his mind, but they died in his silence. "You're not ready," they said, not because of his ability, but because of his voice that never arrived. That moment broke him, not in a dramatic way. No yelling, no tears, just a quiet humiliation that stayed. A simple question in a meeting, "Can you explain your idea?" And he froze. Everyone turned. Seconds passed. His silence was louder than any mistake he could have made. That's when something shifted. He went home and did something different. No complaining, no excuses. He wrote one sentence on a paper. "Fluent or not, I will speak every day." The next morning, he opened his phone, recorded himself answering simple questions. It was terrible, but he did it again the next day, then again and again. He made speaking a ritual, not a punishment. Every day, 20 seconds. Not perfect, just real. "I woke up at 7. I feel tired. I need coffee." At first, it sounded robotic, awkward. But he kept going, because each time he spoke, the fear got smaller. And one day, without realizing it, he said a full paragraph, naturally. His friends didn't notice right away, but his posture changed. His hesitation shrank. He started answering questions without planning every word. In meetings, he spoke. In emails, he added a voice note. People began listening differently. Not because his English was flawless, but because he had stopped hiding. 1 year later, he stood in a room, a new job, international team, all eyes on him. He presented a project in English without a script, confident, clear, alive, and he remembered that one painful moment from the past and smiled. Regret had no space here anymore. He wasn't the smartest in the room, but he was the one who chose to grow, who chose the temporary pain of effort over the permanent pain of avoidance. He didn't wait for fluency to begin. He began, and fluency followed. So today, ask yourself, what could your life look like 1 year from now if you stopped avoiding the discomfort and started using it? Your brain isn't your enemy. It's your protector. Its job is to keep you alive, not to help you grow. So when you try to speak English and feel nervous, embarrassed, or exposed, your brain panics. Not because English is dangerous, but because it feels like danger. The brain doesn't care if it's logical. It cares if it's safe. This is called a survival mode misfire. Your brain thinks speaking English in public equals social risk, rejection, isolation. So it activates the same system it would if a tiger were chasing you. Heart racing, mind blank, throat tight. It's not fear of words, it's fear of losing belonging. That's why your voice disappears. And here's something most people never understand. Your brain has 2 identities. One is your native self, confident, expressive, full of memory. The other is your English self, awkward, uncertain, cautious. Your brain hasn't learned to trust this second version of you yet, so it avoids using it, and that's why you keep retreating. To fix this, you must create emotional safety in English. Try this. Describe yourself using 3 strong adjectives in English. Say them out loud. For example, I am creative, I am patient, I am strong. It sounds simple, but it trains your brain to associate English with identity, not embarrassment. But here's where it gets deeper. If you've ever been laughed at in class, corrected in front of others, or made to feel wrong, that moment becomes emotional residue. Your brain stores it like a scar, and each time you try to speak English, that scar reactivates. That's why fear shows up even when you're alone. There's a way to rewire this. It's called a corrective experience. You create a new memory where English doesn't lead to pain. Start with 1 sentence a day in a safe space. For example, I'm learning. I don't need to be perfect. Say it while breathing slowly. Your nervous system begins to reprogram. Every time you speak and nothing bad happens, your brain rewires itself. It says, wait, maybe this isn't dangerous. Maybe this is growth. That's how fear shrinks. Not with information, but with emotionally safe repetition. Your job isn't to fight fear. It's to prove to your brain that growth doesn't mean threat. So today, give yourself 1 safe moment to speak. No pressure, no performance, just connection. Because the truth is, your brain doesn't fear English, it fears pain. And your job is to teach it that speaking is no longer a danger, it's a doorway. Did you enjoy the content and it made a difference for you? Click on Super Thanks and support our work. Regret is invisible at first. You don't feel it when you skip speaking practice. You don't feel it when you say, maybe tomorrow. But it grows, quietly, slowly, like dust collecting in a room you never clean. One day you wake up and realize, it's been years. And that sentence you were scared to say, you still haven't said it. English pain, on the other hand, shrinks. It shrinks every time you open your mouth. It shrinks when you try, even badly. It shrinks when you laugh at your mistakes instead of hiding from them. Unlike regret, this pain gives something back. It gives you freedom. It gives you momentum. If you want to feel regret faster, do nothing. If you want to reduce regret, speak 1 sentence today. Just 1. Say it out loud in your room, in the kitchen, on a walk. Say, I am learning. I am allowed to speak. That moment, however small, is a win. Because every sentence you say is 1 regret you'll never carry. People always ask, how do I stop being afraid of speaking? The answer: you don't wait for the fear to disappear. You practice until the fear loses interest. Repetition is healing. Pick 1 sentence today and repeat it 30 times, slowly, emotionally, out loud. Watch how your fear turns into familiarity. The real fear isn't grammar. It's the what if. What if I never get fluent? What if I stay silent forever? What if I miss my dream job or my dream life just because I waited too long? That thought is heavier than embarrassment. Mistakes fade, but what if stays. And that's the soul-crushing part. So speak your dream out loud. Say, one day I will speak fluently at work, or I will travel and connect with people in English. Let that sentence live in the air, not just in your thoughts. When your voice says the future, your body begins to believe it. And belief is where fluency begins. Pain isn't always bad. Sometimes it's an invitation. So choose the pain that builds you, the one that stretches your voice, not the one that silences your life. The pain of trying will never destroy you, but the pain of doing nothing slowly erases you. So here's your application. Pick 1 English task that scares you. Start it today, not perfectly, just honestly, because regret waits. English pain passes, and the sooner you start, the lighter your future will feel. But what if I told you, your brain is actually designed to reward this kind of effort? Here's the secret no one told you in school. Your brain doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to try. Every time you attempt something hard, even badly, your brain gives you a tiny reward, a microdose of dopamine. Not for success, but for effort. That's how humans evolved. Effort equals growth. The pain you feel when you try to speak English, that's called effort pain. It's uncomfortable, yes, but your brain loves it. Because when you push through, you trigger learning chemicals. Courage releases energy. Trying builds momentum. Even when your sentence is broken, your brain says, yes, more of this. Now let's look at the opposite. Regret, pain. It doesn't teach, it poisons. When you avoid action, your brain doesn't relax. It ruminates. Regret triggers circuits in your mind that loop the same thoughts over and over. Why didn't I speak? Why didn't I try? That's how regret becomes a chronic ache in the background of your life. But here's the good news. Regret pain can be interrupted, and it doesn't take hours. It takes one action right now. Say one sentence in English. Whisper it if you must. I'm learning. I'm not perfect, but I'm not quitting. You just broke the loop. You just gave your brain a better story. There's a reason fluency feels magical. It's not just about words. It's about rewiring your entire identity. When you practice daily, even 2 minutes, your brain literally reshapes. The old pathways of fear, they weaken. New pathways of expression, they strengthen. This is not motivation. This is neuroscience. Shadowing is one of the best tools for this rewiring. Find a short English sentence from a podcast or video. Play it, pause it, copy it exactly. The tone, the speed, the rhythm. I don't know what you're talking about. Now say it like music. Do this for 2 minutes a day. Your brain will start recognizing this as normal. Effort pain is like going to the gym. The first reps hurt, but soon your muscles grow. English fluency works the same way. The first sentence is heavy. The second is awkward. But keep lifting. Your speaking muscles will grow, and so will your self-respect. So the question isn't, am I fluent yet? The question is, am I training my brain to love the pain that transforms me? If the answer is yes, even a small yes, then you are already winning. You are choosing the pain that frees you. And when you do that, when you choose growth pain over comfort, the world around you begins to respond differently. People may not say it out loud, but they notice. They notice when you try. They notice when you speak up, even with broken grammar. They notice when you walk into a room with effort in your posture, not perfection in your accent. The world respects growth, not comfort, not silence, not hiding. There's a shift that happens when you stop waiting to be perfect and start being real. When you speak English in groups, even if your voice shakes, people lean in, not because you sound native, but because you sound brave. Courage is magnetic. It changes how others see you and how you see yourself. Opportunities begin to show up in strange ways. A colleague invites you to a project. A stranger smiles and starts a conversation. A recruiter says, "Your English isn't perfect, but I like your confidence." That's the power of growth pain. It opens doors that comfort pain keeps locked. Try this today. In every group interaction, say just one thing in English. Doesn't matter what. Just one. Say, "Yes, I agree," or "I think so too," or "That's interesting." Watch what happens. People respond not to your grammar, but to your energy. Your presence becomes louder than your words. And here's something you might not expect. When you keep choosing courage, your body changes. You walk taller, you speak slower, you look people in the eye. Your tone shifts from, "I hope this is okay," to, "This is who I am right now." That's identity building, not just language learning. The world adjusts when you upgrade your effort. Friends who used to interrupt you start listening. Family members begin asking you questions in English. Colleagues wait for your opinion. Why? Because you've stopped playing small, and people treat you based on the energy you bring, not the accent you carry. So today, speak while standing tall, shoulders back, eyes forward. Even if you only say one sentence, let your body say, "I'm not here to hide anymore." Let your effort speak louder than your words, because the world doesn't reward the quiet talent. It rewards the visible courage. And if you want the world to see you differently, you have to start seeing yourself differently first. So act like the version of you who already speaks fluently. Walk like them, speak like them, decide like them, because every time you do, you get one step closer to becoming them. But what happens when you finally realize the real pain isn't English? It's who you might never become if you keep avoiding it. What am I really afraid of? He sat alone with that question, staring at the wall, the phone, the empty journal, anything but himself. The fear wasn't English. The fear was silence. The fear was getting older and realizing he never became the version of himself he once imagined. Not because it was impossible, but because he waited too long. He whispered a truth to himself. I'm not scared of English. I'm scared of staying the same. And suddenly everything made sense. The real pain wasn't mispronunciation. It was potential left unused. Dreams left unspoken. Years lived half alive. English was just the mirror that showed him his deeper hesitation. What does it cost to grow? A little discomfort, a few awkward moments, a shaky voice, vulnerability. But it's all temporary. Pain from growth fades. Pain from hiding stays. So he chose to speak one sentence he'd been avoiding. I'm learning English, and I'm proud of myself for trying. That wasn't just a sentence, it was a rebellion. Who am I becoming? He started seeing a new identity forming, not fluent yet, but fearless. Not perfect, but present. Someone who shows up, someone who doesn't apologize for their effort, someone who speaks because they're not fluent, not after. Because the goal wasn't just English fluency, it was self-respect. The world still judged him sometimes. He still got looks, he still made mistakes. But something inside had changed. He no longer collapsed when someone corrected him. He smiled, he learned, he moved forward. Because the version of him that used to hide didn't live here anymore. What's my choice? He looked at the fork in the road. On one side, the pain of progress, heavy now, lighter later. On the other side, the pain of regret, invisible now, unbearable later. One pain builds you, the other destroys you. He didn't need more time to decide, he just needed to choose, and he did. That night he stood in front of his mirror and spoke a declaration in English. No more regret. I choose the pain that transforms me. It wasn't perfect, but it was powerful. And in that moment he wasn't just learning English, he was learning how to take his life back, one brave sentence at a time. Because fluency isn't just a language level, it's a life decision. And now it was his. Now the choice is in front of you, and it's always been. You've seen what happens when someone chooses the pain of growth over the pain of regret. You've felt how silence can cut deeper than any mistake. And now you know, English is not just a language, it's a mirror. It shows you your fears, but it can also show you your courage. So ask yourself, are you still waiting to feel ready? Still comparing your voice to others instead of using it? Still telling yourself, I'll do it later, even when later has already stolen years? Or will today be the day you choose something different? Because every sentence you speak in English is not just practice, it's rebellion. It's you saying, I will not end my life full of could-haves. So tell me in the comments, what is one English sentence you've been too afraid to say? And what will you say today? Not perfectly, but bravely. Use this space as your declaration. Because the version of you who speaks, who acts, who chooses growth, that version is already alive inside you, waiting, listening, ready. And if this video helped awaken that voice in you, then don't let it go back to sleep. Subscribe for more real stories that teach English and transform lives. Like this video if it moved you. Share your sentence below and come back to read it tomorrow, next week, next year. Because this is no longer just English practice. This is you, building a future with no regrets.